Hi, Lisa. Nice to talk with you today.
Hey John, nice to talk with you.
So, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Lisa. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm 25 years old, and I am wrapping up the Ayurveda Health Counselor program. I'm not quite finished yet. I have some things I still need to catch up on, but I originally graduated from Appalachian State in 2015, planning to go work in renewable energy. So that's what I graduated with. I had a minor in Mandarin Chinese, and I was going to go work in solar, which I did. And that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I discovered Ayurveda and just decided to pursue that.
Yeah. Okay. And so you've been in our 2-year Ayurveda Health Counselor program, and you said you just have a few more things to wrap up. And how has the course gone for you?
It has been really great. For the first year, I was really good at staying on schedule with all of the assignments, and then I decided to go get a full-time job in construction,
Yeah.
like solar construction, and it became harder for me to stay up to date with everything.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of got off schedule, but I've still pretty much maintained involvement in the program, and I've really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Um, what about it did you like?
Well, I liked how flexible that you guys were with my schedule and whenever I needed additional assistance. I liked that I could get individual consultations with the practitioners that were teaching the program, and um, we had some really well qualified teachers, and they all had very different perspectives and ways of looking at things. So you're kind of a more analytical, um, but also like you have this approach that is very detailed and practical and analytical. Um, and then Mary, she's well known in the Ayurveda world, and her approach seems a little bit more intuitive, maybe. And like Sarah Jean is isn't she a functional medicine practitioner too? Like she has a lot of uh,
She has several Western
yeah, yeah. So she has like a
health
nice couple.
related degrees.
And so there's like even more the other teachers that we had. So I really enjoyed all the different perspectives and how I could fit the course to match my lifestyle at the time, which has
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
a lot over 2 years.
Yeah, and it's ever changing. People go into your program and life events happen.
Mhm.
There's a lot goes on while you're enrolled, and as you saw a change in your job, uh, and and so for a program like ours, we have to keep on our feet a little bit and make sure that our students cross the finish line. We're pretty invested in making sure that our students succeed because Ayurveda is a dream for them, and um, it's something that they deeply want. It's a practical, decision that they're making for their life, but also a lifestyle choice for them. And so it makes us happy to make it possible to do it. So I'm glad that, so you made it. You made it juggling that construction job. And I know others are juggling families and jobs and things like that. How did you juggle it? I mean, one thing you said was the flexibility helped you in
Mhm.
the program. But what else? What are some other tips that you can give someone who is, going to be facing the challenge
Real
too,
life.
right? It was a challenging course, right? It wasn't like
Yes.
an easy course, was it? It was a challenge. I'm sure. I always think of the course as very challenging and inspiring, but doable.
Yes. Yeah. And that's how I saw it. Just because, you have the food experiments each week, you have the lectures, the
Hmm.
live lectures, and then the additional recorded lectures that tend to be on a very specific topic. You might have multiples of those.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I did it, um, I was working an accounting job when I first started the program, very flexible hours. And so then it was very easy for me to maintain. And then eventually I got this construction job. I mean, we were between driving and being on site, it was probably 13 to 14 hours a day, which was really
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started to kind of fall behind on things. And I remember something that you said in one of our classes is that you really only have 5 hours of intense mental concentration per day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for some reason I was like, I can just save up a whole bunch of money over a few months and work on assignments early in the morning before work or after work. And I don't regret doing that, because I kind of saw, this is the application of Ayurveda in our Western world. Like, these are the real schedules that people have.
Yeah.
And honestly, the bulk of my makeup work was after. It would be either when I took vacation time or after I got laid off from the project.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what I would try to do is for herb experiments or food experiments, I'd bring a thermos to work and try to do it,
Yeah.
early in the morning before things really get started, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, so creative scheduling. It sounds
Yes.
like a little bit of creative scheduling was the solution. And I tell students sometimes, listen to the lecture while you're doing the dishes the first time around. And then when you sit down the second time, it'll take you less time. Like, you won't be coming at it the first time. It won't be hard to think about or whatever. So you could, or listen to it on your commute and then sit down and listen to it with a notepad. And that way, because I know that a lot of our students like to hit the rewind button, listen to it, some particular passage 3 times even. They might go over that 5-minute section that they're really interested in 3 times. Well, if you're listening to it while you're doing the dishes, or while you're cooking dinner, or on the morning commute or whatever, then you get those 3 times in, and the time you actually sit down can be a little faster. There's little tricks like that that we try to help people out who are managing a busy schedule. And the fact is everyone, life is happening while you're in school. So everyone's got to do that kind of thing. If you want to, reach your goals, it's not like next year you're going to have more time, right? So
Right.
you take
It
the
never slows
plunge.
down.
I think about that with my own goals. It's just like, okay, I'm going to do it this year, not next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did you, what about Ayurveda intrigued you in the first place, by the way? That's always interesting. I always like to know that.
So in 2013, a lot of weird things. I was about 20 years old, and a lot of things just kind of came into my world that I had never been exposed to before. I was given a book on Buddhism, which I'm not a Buddhist, but it kind of opened my perspective of things. And a month after I received that book, a class came up at Appalachian that was called an exploration into mindfulness. And I remember that there was like a few weeks where we talked about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny because like a year or so after college, I was like, I remember this concept and I apply it to my life all the time. And I know that she said that it's related to yoga, but it wasn't from yoga. I couldn't think of what it was. And so I realized that I had been whenever at On Track Yoga in Charlotte, my yoga teacher was having an Ayurveda workshop and just kind of started introducing me to those kinds of Ayurveda, just kind of offering Ayurveda at the studio. And that was about a year after I graduated college. And I realized, this is that thing that I had been so curious about for a while. And my working in construction at the time, and working these crazy hours, watching guys work 12 or 13 hours, drink beer until 2 a.m., and then have to be back at work at 7 a.m., I was like, I can't set myself up for this. And and I'm getting so into Ayurveda, people really need this. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this direction.
Yeah. Great. And so how's the course changed you? Has Ayurveda changed you?
A lot. Just the biggest example I can think of is I used to be the type of person that would I would eat at midnight and go to bed at 2 or 3 a.m. after just like being on the computer. Just college habits. Like, it's really not good. And, now I might have the occasional morning where I wake up at 8 a.m., but for the most part, I don't. I used to wake up in the afternoon. I would wake up at 2 p.m. And now, it's very easy for me to wake up in the morning. I always go to bed around 10. Like, I just feel so much better. I still have some cleaning up to do around my diet and stuff, but I've come such a long way.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't have something to clean up in their diet, right?
Yeah.
Everybody raise your hand if you have a perfect diet, right? No, it's like in some ways I like to think of Ayurveda as that tool which allows us to be more flexible in life, because you know the rules, you know what your body can handle, and so you know how to build that resiliency, which allows that creates that flexibility, and so I think that probably even everyone who's listening to this, Ayurveda is not a setup for perfectionism. It's a setup for flexibility. It's a setup to make your life, help you be flexible and resilient and all of those things. And so it sounds like you've worked that out even for yourself, and that you're, making it work in your life,
Yes.
Not despite your life, that kind of thing.
And it's pretty fascinating seeing whenever I do start getting a little bit more out of balance, I know exactly what's happening.
Yes.
Or
yep.
Seeing my family, I don't even have to say anything to kind of pressure them in a direction. They just see what I'm doing, or I'll bring ginger pickles to a family dinner.
Yeah.
And so I just really love watching kind of the ripple effect happen around me.
Yeah, we went to there's a movie theater in town where you can get like pizza and a movie, and I'm gluten sensitive, so I couldn't do the pizza part, and the only other option was nachos with jalapenos, right? Yeah. So I was pretty hungry, so I ate the nachos and jalapenos, and then at like 4 a.m, I could feel like them in my system, and my vata was out of balance. One of the kids made a noise, and I like, how you I was kind of in a deep sleep, so I got that kind of feeling, that feeling that you get, and I knew immediately that my body was on this in this more sensitive kind of high alert state because of the nachos with jalapenos. Yeah. Normally, if the sound had happened, my vata wouldn't have went like, oh, it was like kind of like I was almost startled a little bit by the noise, and immediately I was like, oh, that's my vata. Those jalapenos with corn tortillas, they did not work, in August, a dry time of year, in the heat, vata pitta aggravating, all that. And then the morning I woke up and, I ate the foods that were needed to balance that, rebalance, recalibrate, get back on track. And so, we live to tell the tale, right? and I think that's the kind of strength and resiliency that Ayurveda gives, is that you see that little off balance, that little shift in your emotional and mental state, and you know how to trace that back to a cause, and then repair, so that it works out.
I would just like to mention, I came into the program with really awful asthma aggravation.
Oh yeah?
Yes, and now, I haven't had an asthma attack in a very long time, and and it's because I know exactly when I start seeing some congestion. I know exactly what foods aggravate it. I know if I have a glass of wine tonight, I'm going to feel my gallbladder contracting and I'm going to feel the asthma. It's really crazy how I have this understanding of everything happening in my body now.
Yeah. Congratulations. What an accomplishment. You know, can you imagine now that you have that, you have it for the rest of your life, and you don't just have it for yourself, but you have it to offer.
Yes.
That feels good. And it's good to know that Ayurveda works. You know, it's good to just hear another testimony, because some people may not know that it works, or is it just a theory or whatever. But I would say almost every student I talk to has had some, and I include myself in that, has had some revelation about their body and some deep understanding of their body that led to just a completely different outcome for their daily, you know, health and well-being.
even if, I mean, I do plan to use this professionally.
Yeah.
Because Ayurveda is going to be my career now. But even if I had chosen to not pursue it as a career, I would have taken this program anyway, because now I don't have to worry about my asthma plaguing me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And it's not just that you don't have to worry about asthma, but and this is the thing too, is that in health and with health and wellness, it's not just that you're disease free, but you're like happier along the way. It's that wellness thing that it's not just absence of symptoms, but it's greater total well-being. And so why not make that investment? So yeah. Was that the biggest challenge, dealing with the schedule, or was there what was your greatest challenge in the course? And you know, I love the opportunity for every person coming into the course with their eyes open, knowing what it is they're facing, right? Like, what is it you're going to face? Because then you can start coming up with solutions, and it's not just this surprise, right? So was there a challenge? What was your biggest challenge? What was the, anything?
My biggest challenge still is the herb experiments.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me about it.
So, the first year and a half in the program, I was doing a great job keeping up with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I really got a lot out of the food and herb experiments, just because it's kind of cool to take a food or an herb and just see all the ways that you can describe it, all of the, and I still love that, but I have been having a really hard time scheduling in, like, even when I schedule to do the herb experiments, something is happening and I don't do it. So yeah, that has been, I feel like it sounds kind of trivial, but it has been like this mental tax that I'm thinking about very often.
Yeah. Well, that is, it's, you could say like Ayurveda is simple, right? Because it really is simple, but doing it is a whole nother matter, right? And so anytime you take it from, hey, I could just listen to this lecture, to reality, there's so many factors that get involved. I remember my herbal teacher telling me that like things get fixed or crystallized in a person's life. Like even the route that you take to get to your grocery store, can be it's like even that could be an obstacle to a life change. It's hard to rewire and be like, oh no, I'm going to shop at this grocery store now. Or, oh no, I'm going to like take the scenic route to there or whatever. It's just, even those small things are sometimes, there's an obstacle in the way. And I often think about that, like how if I was an ant on my way to a piece of cheese, like all the ants take the exact same road to get there. Like, it's just hard to break habit,
Yeah.
And are we like that? Am I like that ant taking the same, the same path, the same strategy, and hard to break out of my habit, with some simple things. And so is that it? Is that the things is that what you still have to do to finish up and graduate, those herbal experiments?
I still have some buddy consultations to do, but I've really enjoyed doing the buddy consultations, and they haven't been stressful for me. So I'm kind of like, Oh, I know I still have to do it, but I'm not stressed out about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, would you recommend this course to other people?
Absolutely. I think I probably already have recommended it to a couple of
Okay.
people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Um, any other parting words of wisdom to an upcoming student?
If you are questioning it and you feel this, if you're like, I don't know how I'm going to afford it or make time for it, but it's something that you really want, don't put it off. Do it now. Don't put it off. Pursue it. It's going to be worth it. You're going to come out on the other side feeling better with more clarity and clarity in your body and your mind and professionally. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the program. I had been contemplating moving to another part of the country, and then I didn't know that this program was available. And when I found it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. And it fits, my life can keep continuing and I can keep meeting all of my responsibilities and still be able to do this course. So thank you so much. And I hope anyone that watches this feels inspired to enroll.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience. And I'm so glad that you liked the course, that it's been helpful for you personally. And and that I know that you've already said you're starting to do, you're starting to put together some things that you can share Ayurveda with the public, and getting together with some other students of the program in your area. And that's great to hear that you're taking the next step. And so, I'd love to keep hearing how that goes. And so maybe even, maybe even sometime we can do another video like this to hear how things went after year one.
Absolutely.
What's it like 1 year out? How's it been?
Yeah, I would really love to do that, actually.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks again. And keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you.